Yeah, the late great David Foster Wallace, who used to teach just down the road from us, if you take Route 47, Illinois State University. And in fact, I'm proud to mention that I taught right alongside him just for a year, way back when. Wallace, Wallace laughed with Kafka. As he writes in this little late edition to your readings for the week, I don't really expect you to read it, but you're certainly welcome to. And I listed it on the website under content. He writes, another handicap, even for gifted students, is that unlike, say, Joyce's or Pound's, the exformative associations Kafka's work creates are not intertextual or even historical. Kafka's evocations are, rather, unconscious and almost sub-archetypal. The little kid stuff. The little kid stuff. You just read a little comic there, Calvin and Hobbes. The little kid stuff from which myths derive, those Kafka dreams. This is why we tend to call even his weirdest, most Kafka dreamiest stories nightmarish rather than surreal. Not to mention that the particular sort of funniness Kafka deploys is deeply alien to kids whose neural resonances are American. The fact is that Kafka's humor has almost none of the particular forms and codes of contemporary U.S. amusement. And Wallace goes on. I'm going to let you read the rest of his passage here on your own, right? And, just still stop the film, right? And read the rest of it if you'd like. It's actually a wonderful little comment. I think it's more a comment on on us, on Americans, than it is a comment in American humor than I think it is a comment on Kafka. But I think you would find it very interesting. So I'm going to let you do that, and then please move on. Well, move on where? We'll move on to this very important and very fundamental and basic distinction between theme and topic, with maybe plot and story thrown in a little bit here and there into the mix. Mariah, quoting the Norton, theme is a general idea or insight conveyed by the work in its entirety. It is the general or overarching meaning of the story. Jack and several others of you also quote the same passage from page 429 in the Norton. It's not that a story has only one idea or meaning, as Rachel notes. Rather, theme is, quote, more central or overarching and inclusive than the others. Though we sometimes say a theme, we tend to say the theme. Mace continues. Though a theme is specific, excuse me, in the sense that it's a complete idea or statement rather than a topic, it is nonetheless a general idea rather than one that describes a character's plot or settings unique to one story. Absolutely. And here's another, and I think very pithy way of putting this same distinction. The topic, number one, is what we get in hand when, moving beyond mere story, we have begun working out the plot. Oh, so this is what the story is about. It's about loneliness, let's say. On the other hand, the theme is what we have in hand when, having moved past mere story to plot, we have finished working out the plot. It's almost the product of a complete working out of plot. Oh, so this is what the story, plot, author, text is saying about or on the topic of loneliness. Yes, the topic is what the story is about. The theme, what it says about what it is about. I'm going to repeat that line because I think it's important enough to repeat. The topic is what the story is about. Loneliness. The theme, what it says about what it is about. What it is about, loneliness. What does it say about what it is about? What does it say about loneliness? Maybe that loneliness abounds and loneliness abides. It's all over and it lasts. And we're all a lot lonelier than we knew we were, right? Look at all the lonely people. I'm not going to be able to quote the rest of that Beatles song. It's not Lady Madonna. It's easy to confuse theme and topic, okay? This is very easy to do, and I would like you guys to get them straight. I'd like you to be able to use these terms precisely. One could argue that many dictionaries do so. The Collins Dictionary, for example, enlisting, quote, the subject as one meaning of theme. That's really more like the topic and the subject. Those are synonyms. The theme and the subject, the theme and the topic are not synonyms. Collins is correct that the term is sometimes used in this broader sense, but in most specifically literary discussion, the distinction holds. Note, for example, the Norton's insistence that equating theme with subject or topic is using the term very loosely. Keandra, that's by the way from page 430 in the Norton. Keandra wrote, I think the theme of the hunger artist is perception. Insightful, Keandra, but have you not just designated a topic rather than a theme? Perception is the story's topic. What is it saying about perception? What it's saying about perception, what it predicates of perception, that's its theme. And I think, Keandra, you knew this. For example, as Keandra goes on to say, differences, she goes on to evoke differences in perception. And she suggests that they abound and they abide. They're all over the place and they last. They're hard to get past. Angelina notes, quote, different, a different theme, the harm of pride and what it does to the individual in the end. That's Kafka's theme, Angelina argues, and certainly it is a statement of its theme, since it makes a claim about what the story says about what it is about. Lots of abouts there, I know, but the point is clear, correct? Maggie, quote, in Kafka's A Hunger Artist, the theme is cages. Cages are inhuman, inhumane, and drain beings of their energy. Now that is a predication. That is a declarative statement, and it's a declaration. And it is, in fact, a statement of what the story says about what it is about, right? We may disagree with Maggie's declaration, but we should all see it for what it is. That it is such, a declaration, a statement about what the story is about. Now note how a statement of topic usually takes the form, you may have noticed this already, of a word or phrase. Perception. That's a word, right? Perception. Another example would be from what you had to say up above. Pride. That's a word, okay? Harmful pride. Harmful pride could even be itself a topic. What's it saying about harmful pride? Or just pride. What is it saying about pride? Pride can be harmful. I'm going to get to this here in a second, how that phrase would sort of work. We may disagree with Maggie's declaration, as I said, but we should all see it for such as it is, a declaration, a statement about what the story is about, okay? And it was not in the form of a word or a phrase. It was in the form of a declarative statement. The statement of theme usually takes that form, the form of a declarative. Something is predicated of the topic. Kafka predicates harmful effects of pride. Now, Jack mentions, quote, the dangers of perfectionism. About to show you how this is not a hard, fast rule. This phrase slash declarative distinction is not hard and fast. Right? Jack mentions, quote, the dangers of perfectionism. What is the story about? What is its topic? Well, you could say, well, he hasn't really stated the theme, he has stated the topic. The topic is the dangers of perfectionism, and the story is going to say something about the dangers of perfectionism. And you could sort of see that. That would work. The dangers of perfectionism are such that they are insurmountable. You cannot get past those dangers, or they're terrible, right? The dangers of perfectionism are quite harmful. That would render that a statement of topic as opposed to a statement of theme. Perfectionism, though, distinguishes a topic. What is it saying about perfectionism as a topic, right? What is it saying about that topic of perfectionism? It's implicit there in the theme, isn't it? Or sorry, in the phrase. It's saying that they're dangerous. Or it's saying that it is dangerous. Perfectionism is dangerous. That dangers attend upon perfectionism. Perfectionism has its dangers. So note how Jack employs the phrases of speaking of the topic. But pretty clearly we see the declarative thus collapsed into the phrase. And thus here we have an exception and a typical one. The phrase, as I said a moment ago, the phrase slash declarative distinction with the phrase pointing to a topic and the declarative pointing to a theme, not a hard and fast one. Not a hard and fast one. A student in another section gets into one of Kafka's more elusive themes, and I just felt that I should share this with you. Put it into the list of themes that You guys noted, the student noted the toxic relationship that artists can develop with their audience. The topic, the artist's relationship to his or her audience. The theme, how surprisingly toxic it can be. Artists often develop a split between themselves and their audiences to the degree that the purer the artist, the more his only satisfying audience becomes he himself and he alone. And note how the student works beyond story and through plot details to approach the more specific sense of the work's theme. Okay, let's move on again. Well, that's a hunger artist. What about the metamorphosis? What's its topic? What does it say about what it is about? What is its theme, in other words? Well, just two of you addressed this question. I was a little surprised. There was a lot more attention to it last time, but a lot of you were interested in point of view this time, which is great, even though that isn't going to be part of this video. But here's what Randy had to say. As stated in Norton, most themes are general observations and insights about humans actually do behave, or about how life, the world, or some particular corner of it actually is, rather than moral imperatives about how people should behave or how life should ideally be. Well, as a result of this explanation regarding theme, I have to argue, he goes on, that one of the central themes in Kafka's Metamorphosis is exploitation specifically, humanity's predilection for using another person or group for selfish purposes, unquote. In an exemplarily, that's almost a difficult word to say, an exemplarily detailed contribution, Randy goes on to explore the evidence in support of this claim. But let's again speak of topic and theme. The topic, he says, is, quote, exploitation, humanity's predilection for using others, and the rest. Or exploitation in Kafka. Exploitation is understood by Kafka. That's the topic. What's the theme? For Kafka, exploitation, thus defined, is widespread. Notice the declarative quality of this statement. Exploitation, thus defined. Something is predicated of that exploitation. Exploitation, thus defined by Kafka, is widespread and hard to uproot. It abounds and it abides. Such is how life actually is, at least in Kafka's particular corner of the world, according to Kafka. Now, Elizabeth, by contrast, quote, thought the most fitting theme for the story was humanity. Now, of course, we recognize now, don't we, and I think Elizabeth does as well, that she is in this immediate moment, the way she is talking, she's talking about the topic, what the story's about. It's about humanity, rather than the theme, what it says about what it is about, what it says about humanity. But she's headed towards a statement of theme, for she too then starts to work through the evidence to arrive at a claim being that before metamorphosing, or even just after doing so, quote, Gregor is still very human on the inside and is still more concerned about his family than himself. Already some sense of theme is emerging that would go something like this. For Kafka, one's humanity is such that it's not lost overnight. It has a certain kind of staying power, doesn't it? A certain degree of staying power. Even if one's very physical very physical nature, your very appearance and just shot all the way through, like you're not just a bug on the outside, you're a bug through and through. Even if one's very physical nature appears to have changed from the human to something else, one retains humanity. That seems to be Kafka's theme. Now, Elizabeth goes on, continuing to sift evidence. She notes how, quote, Gregor still felt for his family up until the moment he died. On his deathbed, even, Gregor has not lost his human capacity for love. So this speaks to the theme she's already established. Fair enough. There is a theme clear as day. Again, one's humanity is such that it's not lost overnight, even if one's very physical nature appears, and the rest, such as we have stated. But wait, Elizabeth also points to a contrast between Gregor and his family. He may not have lost his humanity, but they sure have, and they lose it in the very act of refusing to recognize its presence in him. I'm going to repeat that. He may not have lost his humanity, but they sure have. And they lose it in the very act of refusing to recognize its presence in Gregor. Elizabeth, in the end, they are, quote, relieved that he's gone and fantasizing about the future. They move on. They move on a little too quickly, don't they? And so does our sense of the larger theme. It moves on from Elizabeth's original statement to something else. It's no longer comprehended by the simple claim that it's hard to lose your humanity. It has a certain staying power. Because we've just seen, some people seem to have a gift for losing their humanity. So then the theme is, what? Hey, that's your job. I'm going to leave it up to you to formulate where we are at the end of all this. regardless. Humanity is the topic still, but the question of theme reemerges. What is Kafka saying about it? What is he saying about humanity on the whole, on balance, altogether, when all is said? Finally, let's introduce a third term for the week, really a fourth term. Theme, topic, issue. The theme, one theme of the metamorphosis, Kafka's topic being change, or the human ability to manage change, more specifically. His theme is that ability is severely, shockingly limited. We are much less able to handle change than most of us think. We often do not handle change well. We resist it and then it overwhelms. We don't so much change as wake up and find that we have changed. I'm, of course, repeating some statements from the previous plates. That's the theme. What's the topic? I've already said it, but I'll say it again. Named by one of you, but implied by others, change. Prominent throughout the story was transformation. That's the topic, change. What is the issue? Well, whether or not we can well manage change. That's a good way to put the issue in a whether or not statement. The issue of the story is a question of the story with respect to its topic, what it is about. What does it ask about what it is about? Theme is the answer to that question. It is what it says about what it is about. The topic here being changed, the question here, the issue is, can we accept, deal with it, survive it? That's the issue. That is the issue that the story deals with. It's the issue of, and notice how it's put in a question in interrogative form, or by way of a whether or not, by way of a whether or not statement. Has to do with change. Whether or not we can manage change well. Or can we manage change well? Can we manage change at all? That's a statement of issue as opposed to a statement of either topic or theme. The topic here being changed, the question here, the issue is, can we accept, deal with it, survive it? The topic being changed, the issue is whether we can accept it or whether humans have, according to Kafka, a fundamental dislike of change. Whether when things are at all satisfactory, we like them to stay that way, to stay just the way they are, perhaps even ignoring or avoiding and certainly not rising to the challenge of opportunities for self-improvement. Statements of issue often take the form of questions, as I just mentioned, or, as I mentioned, the form of a whether or not statement, which is really a kind of sentence fragment, but that's okay when you're stating an issue. Statements of issue often take the form of questions. A good way to formulate an issue is by way of the formula, whether or not X is, eats, hates, loves, influences, has X connection to, what have you. Why? Whether or not something is something else, or is something something else? That's the question, the interrogative form, as opposed to the whether or not form. Well, this is something we're going to be going back to. It's really pretty fundamental, these distinctions, but they're very important, I think, to a clear and consistent discussion of literature. And they are fundamental building blocks of literary critical discussion. It's to understand the difference between an issue, a topic, and a theme. So they're not going to go away, these blocks. We're going to be building on them throughout the semester, as you will be throughout your careers as undergraduate English majors. I regret that we didn't get around to questions of point of view. I never intended to, of course, because this is already an over 20-minute micro lecture, but I wanted to say that I thought the respondents to the questions on point of view did a splendid job and will be profiting from your insights in the coming weeks because, in fact, we're going back to point of view this coming week, even though there won't be a video this coming week. I think that there may be a video. There will certainly be some commentary and some questions about point of view in the future, and we'll have a chance then to profit from some of your insights. So that's it for today. Take care.